Honorable Governor of Tamil Nadu, His Excellency Thiru R.N. Ravi ji, Dr. Jayanti Ravi, Secretary, Auroville Foundation, my very dear friend Arindam, and Dr. Sarup Prasad Ghosh. I really express my deep gratitude for this invitation that you have extended to me. And primarily, it was accepted because of my attraction for having an opportunity to be in the presence of His Excellency. And therefore, I doubly thank you, Arindam, for giving me this privilege twice, once in Chennai and again today in Pondicherry. And I'm feeling extremely charged. I go back with my batteries charged as well. Now, I have a dilemma. The dilemma is that I have to speak before an audience, many of whom I have known since I was in kindergarten. And so therefore, my association with this place goes back to 47 years. And therefore, that's a dilemma, what to speak and how to speak, because I'll be measured on what I say. The other profound dilemma is that you have asked me to give a keynote address in front of a personality who has the key and has all the notes. And therefore, I do not know whether in the presence of His Excellency, I really have the adhikara to deliver a keynote. But I shall just give you a few notes, because ultimately it is He who's going to give us the keys. And we are all waiting to listen to Him. And there's one more point that I want to make, one more observation that I want to make, which is a little personal in nature. That Chairman Auroville Foundation and His Excellency is a walking university on India's Northeast and on North Bengal. And he is the embodiment, he embodies and radiates all that he says. And so therefore, I think it's a very symbolic occasion to be here together in Auroville and to deliberate on this very futuristic and a very topical subject. 75 years of the Indian Republic, milestone, challenges and future horizons. I'll just make a few observations. The first milestone is that we have a Constitution Day today. 26th November 1949, the Constituent Assembly adopted the Constitution. But from 1949 to 2015, there was no Constitution Day. And Prime Minister Modi designated 26th November as the Constitution Day. And since then, in 2015, and since then we have been observing it. To instill pride, to instill a sense of freedom, to instill the conviction that freedom has to be protected, it is essential that we commemorate the Constitution and its deeper values. And therefore, the first milestone is to have a Constitution Day. As I stand here, I was just putting together a few thoughts. It's very interesting that two members of the Constituent Assembly were very close to Sri Aurobindo. One we know was K.M. Munshi, member of the drafting committee, founder of Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan, was a Sri Aurobindo student in Baroda. And he was, as Union Agriculture Minister in July 1950, was perhaps the last Union Minister to have a private meeting with Sri Aurobindo. And the other personality who was a member of the Constituent Assembly, he was a member of the Advisory Committee on Fundamental Rights, Minorities and Tribals and Excluded Areas, was Dr. Shyama Prasad Mukherjee. Was inspired by Sri Aurobindo through and through, youngest Vice Chancellor of Calcutta University, and more importantly for us, mother chose him. Not many in Auroville, not many in Pondicherry or even in India would know. But even amongst Sri Aurobindonians, there are very few who know that mother specially designated him to be chairman of the Sri Aurobindo Memorial Convention, which went on to create the Sri Aurobindo International Center of Education. So it's very interesting, the link. that both these personalities had with Sri Aurobindo, and Sri Aurobindo was there on 26th November 1949, physically present when the constitution was adopted. Now, I shall designate a few more milestones very quickly. One is the milestones as tribute to the constitution framers. When we are talking about 75 years of the Republic, let us give our tribute to the constitution and framers. So the first milestone is the national education policy. It is its advocacy of education in the mother tongue, which Prime Minister Narendra Modi says is a new form of social justice. The national education policy and its approach to languages, and His Excellency has a number of very inspiring speeches on it and a very inspiring stand that he has taken on the national education policy and on languages in general. The national education policy is a tribute to Sri Aurobindo, who knew 12 languages, to Rabindranath Tagore, to Mahakavi Subramanya Bharati, and to Kulapati Munshi. During his early years, Jayanti ji, you pointed out, during his early years in Pondicherry, the Mahayogi and the Mahakavi would have conversations. And both of them, and this is historian P. Raja who says it is not concocted history. So both of them, being well versed in Sanskrit, came together to study the Vedas and the Upanishads, and the result was the birth of Vachana Kavithaigal in Tamil. And Sri Aurobindo learned Tamil language with the help of Mahakavi, and he translated, as you said, and Mahakavi learned Bangla with the help of Sri Aurobindo and translated Rabindranath Tagore's poems. So linguistic richness and diversity, as PM says, although India has an array of established languages, they were presented as a sign of backwardness, and those who could not speak English were neglected and their talents were not recognized. As a result, children of the rural areas remained most affected, but the country has now begun to shun this belief. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, while talking about the shared heritage of languages, says all languages in India were mainstream languages, and it is our responsibility to enrich and embrace languages. No conflict at all. In fact, Suniti Kumar Chatterjee, one of the greatest linguists, had one of his greatest books was on Dravidians, brought out by the Annamala University in 1964. And Suniti Kumara, he was called in Tamil, he was given a special name in Tamil, Nanneri Murugan. And on the other hand, Hindi Vachaspati, he was given the title of Hindi Vachaspati in 1949. So I think, when we listen to His Excellency speak very boldly and strongly on the richness of Indian languages, these are the historical events that support us. The next tribute, milestone to framer of the Constitution, is the vision and the actuality and the reality of one nation, one Constitution. It is one of the profoundest tributes to Dr. Shyama Prasad Mukherjee, who, as Prime Minister Narendra Modi said, this 15th August was the first great personality of the nation to sacrifice his life for the Constitution of Bharat. His sacrifice for the Constitution, the removal of the wall of Article 370, and the realization of the mantra of one nation, one Constitution have been our true tribute to Dr. Shyama Prasad Mukherjee. Close quotes, 15th August 2025. This is what Prime Minister said. And I would invite you to go through his debates. In fact, in one very strong debate in Parliament on August 7th, 1952, in the first Lok Sabha, he tells Sheikh Abdullah, who was a party to this constitution, did you not agree to accept this constitution in the relation to the rest of India and including 497 states? If it is good enough for all of them, why should it not be good enough for him in Kashmir? So I think the struggle to preserve, to expand, to establish the values, the spirit and the essence of the Constitution was an ongoing struggle, and therefore it is a tribute. One nation, one Constitution is a tribute to those who thought it necessary to make the supreme sacrifice to ensure that India is not fragmented or balkanized further. I do not have the time to get into all the details. But I would also like to mention not only Shama Prasad Mukherjee, Sardar Patel and Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, Baba Saheb B.R. Ambedkar also supported the removal of Article 370 and the implementation of one constitution, one nation. And today you see enhanced connectivity, you see fundamental rights being applicable in Jammu and Kashmir, you see reservations being applicable in Jammu and Kashmir, you see how grassroots democracy is thriving in Jammu and Kashmir despite challenges, 51% participation in the local elections that took place in J&K. Another tribute to the framers of the constitution and an achievement in the 75 years of republic. Please connect all these as achievements and milestones in the 75 years of the republic, is empowering the most marginalized. When we talk of 25 crore people escaping multi-dimensional poverty, when we see the index of deprivation, the deprivation index reducing, and when we see that reaching potable water, drinking water saves the lives annually of 60 to 70,000 infant lives. When we see that around 78% of rural households in India for the first time are connected with tap water and water connection, I think more than slogans, more than tributes, this is a most fundamental tribute to a personality like Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar. 4 lakh diarrheal deaths are being avoided because of this huge effort that is being made. We see the resurrection of Nalanda University. We see the status of classical language that Prime Minister has conferred on Pali. And after 127 years, Lord Buddha's relics, the Pipravaha gem relics, after 127 years, these relics were being auctioned in Hong Kong, mind you. These relics were brought back through the special initiative of Prime Minister Modi. So I think this entire gamut, empowering the marginalized, and Vikas bhi or Virasat bhi, development and protection of our heritage and inheritance, is also a tribute to our framers of the Constitution. You are very rightly, Honorable His Excellency has pointed out India as the mother of democracy. In fact, Prime Minister Modi, when he launched the G20 presidency, spoke about the need to establish India as the mother of democracy. He says, India contributes to the foundational DNA of democracy, and as India's national consensus is forged not by diktat, by blending of millions of free voices. Sri Aurobindo supports that. Sri Aurobindo it's an echo of what Sri Aurobindo wrote in his essays on the Renaissance in India. Sri Aurobindo talks about the legend of Indian political incompetence. He says there was a strong democratic element in Indian polity, and even institutions that present a certain analogy to the parliamentary form existed in India. So India, the mother of democracy, is a theme that we need to constantly not only explore but to disseminate. We need to continue doing that. The Uttaramerur inscriptions in Tamil Nadu, not very far from here, which late Dr. Nagaswamy says an outstanding document in the history of India. And he says it is a veritable written constitution of the village assembly that functioned 1,000 years ago. The Chola period saw the first written constitution of India in the form of the Uttaramerur inscriptions. And the disqualifications for an elected representatives, as enjoined by those inscriptions, were far more severe and is illustrative of the great care that Chola society attached to moral values and conduct in public life. So we should be proud, we should project this, the Uttaramerur inscriptions. And we saw the grand spectacle. Not only it was loaded with symbolism, the manner in which Prime Minister came to Gangaikonda Cholapuram. All of us who have grown up in Pondicherry studied here. We are well versed with Gangaikonda Cholapuram. His Excellency was there. It was a deep symbolic moment to remember the contribution of Rajaraja and Rajendra Chola, one of the greatest monarchs not only of India but globally, with a global vision. Friends, There's a new dimension which has been introduced and which we need to dwell on in a very systematic way. Prime Minister says that we are a kartavya adharit loktantra, a democracy of duties. And he has termed the next 25 years, which is Amrit Kal, as Kartavya Kal. In fact, as Gurumurthy in one of his papers reminds us that when H.G. Wells approached Mahatma Gandhi for the Human Duties Declaration, the Human Rights Declaration, Mahatma Gandhi said, no, but we want a Human Duties Declaration first also. And Deendayal Upadhyay speaks about democracy, Lok Adhikar, Lokatantra is a means for upholding Loka Adhikar, people's right, and promoting Loka Kartavya. So therefore, friends, when we are talking about the 75 years of Indian Republic, we must leave behind the mindset of being only a rights-based democracy. We should also look at ourselves as a duty, as a kartavya-based lokatantra. Finally, you speak about challenges, but the challenges can, I will request you to look at the 11 resolutions that Prime Minister spoke to us on 26th November last year. The challenges before the Indian Republic can be understood, can be examined against the 11 resolutions that he placed before the nation in Parliament. The first resolution, and I just want you to keep it in mind, to go back, to look at it again, to examine it, juxtapose it, contextualize it in the challenges that we are facing today. The first resolution, where the citizens of the government all must fulfill their duties. The second resolution, every region, every community must benefit from development, ensuring sabka saath, sabka vikas. The third resolution, there must be zero tolerance towards corruption, and there should be no social acceptance of corrupt individuals. The fourth resolution, citizens of the country should feel proud of adhering to the laws, rules, and traditions of the nation. Fifth resolution, we must be free from the mindset of slavery and take pride in our heritage. The sixth resolution, the country's politics must be free from dynastic rule. Seventh resolution, the constitution should be respected and it should not be used as a tool for political gain. Eighth resolution, while upholding the spirit of the constitution, the rights of those receiving reservations should not be taken away, and all attempts to create reservation based on religion should be stopped. Ninth resolution, Bharat must become a global example of women-led development. 10th resolution, a very important resolution. Development of states should lead to the development of the nation. This should be our mantra for progress. And the last, the 11th resolution, the goal of Ek Bharat, Shrestha Bharat must remain secure. So you can yourself discover the challenges and you have the way ahead through these 11 resolutions. Broadly, it's a framework. And therefore, friends, I would like to invite you to dwell on these. And especially such an occasion is an ideal gathering, an ideal ambience to get deeper into the subject. Sri Aurobindo says, he describes the new nationalism. He says the new nationalism cries to all to come forth, to help in God's work and remake a nation. Each with what his creed or his culture, his strength, his manhood or his genius can give to the new nationality. The only qualification it asks, the new nationalism asks, the only qualification it asks is a heart that can feel for India, a brain that can think and plan for her greatness, a tongue that can adore her name, and hands that can fight in her quarrel. The goal is to lead India in Amrit Kal as a Vishwamitra, towards becoming Atmanirbhar, Samriddha and Vikasit by 2047. That will be a true tribute to the essence and the spirit of our republic and the constitution. Thank you so much for being so patient. Thank you so much.